There's more in the upcoming Hotline documentary by Araba Kumsin titled The Media, a Virus and Survival, which throws the spotlight on the impact of COVID-19 on the traditional media in Ghana. Is scheduled to be aired on Monday, June 8th. Now, speaking of that specific day, Monday, June 8th, the Supreme Court has ordered the Electoral Commission to provide the legal basis for its refusal to accept voter ID cards as a form of identification for the upcoming voter registration exercise on that very day, the 8th of June, 2020. Joseph Akablake goes to court for us, and he joins us live. Joseph, take us through what happened in court today.
And so, Daniel, this has to do with the case that the NDC has filed challenging the EC to compile a new voters register. And one of the points they're raising there is that if even the court decides to allow the commission to go ahead to register, they have to raise questions about why it has decided not to allow people to use their existing voter ID card as a form of identification to participate in this registration. The NDC was represented in court by Godwin Samaklo, and the EC is represented by Justin Amenu. But when the case was called, the justice noted that the point relating to the exclusion of the voters' ID card, they want the EC to address them specifically on that. And so they gave the EC up until June 8th to file legal arguments justifying why the existing voters' ID card cannot be used as proof of identification for anyone to participate in this registration exercise. The point also made that the lawyers for the NDC and the AG's office, if they are minded to do so, can also respond to what the EC filed by way of legal argument on ways of points of law, respond only to points of law relating to the submission that the EC will be making. Then they come back to court on June 11, where hopefully, if the court is minded and ready to deliver a decision on the way forward, the court will do so. Daniel.
Now, Joseph, we know the pilot exercise just finished and the main registration exercise should take place at the end of June. What are the implications of this decision by the court?
In fact, what it means is that, as it stands now, there are legal issues that ought to be settled by the Apex Court. The expectation of those who are parties to this particular case is to the effect that they expect that the Apex Court will settle this particular matter before the actual mass registration exercise commences, because they want a clarity on whether or not the EC can go ahead to undertake this exercise and as to whether or not people can use the voter's ID card or not. And so, as it stands now, nothing stops the EC from doing what it's doing currently, but this determination of this matter, once the court does it, will put the matter to rest and give a clear line of action for the commission in terms of its quest to compile a new voters register.
Now, Joseph, you've been going to court for us for quite a bit of time now. It might be difficult to tell, but does this give any form of indication of the direction in which the Supreme Court is headed, this decision they've taken?
We know that the bit about what proof identity came up in the case of Abu Ramadan versus the Electoral Commission. In fact, in that particular case, the court held well when it held that the voters, the NHIS card cannot be used as proof of citizenship. Did indicate that the voter's ID card was proof of identification, because if people were not 18 and were not Ghanaians in the first place, they were not have been able to acquire that particular card. And so this was a matter that has come before the Supreme Court in a different form relating to once the idea had been passed by Parliament. The best we can say is that the court appears to want to hear from both sides on a particular contentious matter that it has pronounced on in a similar fashion previously. And so we get a sense that it's remaining towards wanting to decide on that particular matter, which is perceived to be very crucial to this particular dispute. And so in terms of what we can expect, at least we can get a sense that the justices want to be convinced as to whether the voter ID card should be excluded or not excluded. And that is what they're looking to hear from the lawyers in the case.
So the position of the court in the Abu Ramadan case cannot be held as precedent. And even if it was, this is the Supreme Court, isn't it, Joseph? It's not bound by its own precedent.
The point is that this particular one, in terms of that particular case, the main issue that was for determination has to do with the fact that it's related to the NHIA card.
Right.
But so that in terms of the legal system, so that an officer, it's a comment that the court was making whilst ruling on a particular matter, that it made that pronouncement that the voter's ID card is proof of identification. And so once this particular matter has come up, it's not a matter that the Supreme Court has pronounced on directly in that sense,
right,
but has made comments on which obviously the NDC case, the NDC lawyers will be drawing inspiration from in the matters that they filed in the court. You draw the court's attention that you had made
this particular comment on this particular card sometime back. And so it's important that you look at it that way.
Joe, thank you very much for educating us this morning, this afternoon. Now coming up in business, Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, calls for investigation into food price hikes despite sustained supply. Daryl is next with more on that story and other business issues. Stay with us.